The economy is whatever we the people make of it. A billionaire is a tiny part of the economy. The economy produces trillions and trillions of dollars in wealth. The biggest robber baron is the federal government. The federal government that takes an increasingly bigger chunk of the gross domestic product of this country. Let's say I live next door to a billionaire. Why does it matter to me? Let's say I live next door to some guy that earns $100,000 a year. Why does that matter to me? It's none of my business. Whatever he's doing, as long as it's legal and moral and so, fine. Same with the billionaire. I thought we'd start today with, I was going to call him a gentleman. I don't view him as a gentleman. I view him as a goofball. And yet he's a Harvard graduate. I think he taught at Harvard for a period of time. He's considered an intellectual, which means nothing. He was labor secretary under Bill Clinton. But he's gotten increasingly radicalized. In my view, he's a Marxist socialist, cultural Marxist, economic socialist. And he puts out these videos, and they're really reprehensible. And he's obsessed with Trump. He's obsessed with you. And he keeps promoting this idea of a centralized state, economic justice and equality. This is all the pablum of the hard left. And if you look at anywhere in the world where these people have control, they're hideous, inhumane conditions. But he wants to tell us why Trump won. It's always fascinating to hear from the radical left telling us why Trump won, because they're so out of touch with the American people, it's not even funny. But let's take a look, and I want to respond to him. We've tried to get him on in the past. I've tried to get him on Fox in the past, radio in the past, but he's not available. In other words, he's a coward. So let's give it a shot. Here's Robert Reich. Go.
What is the lesson from the 2024 election? I'm hearing a lot of theories, and most of them are wrong.
Well, we need to take stock of why we are being held hostage to the far left.
It's certainly not that Democrats need to move to the right.
Hold on. That guy is a mouthpiece for Hillary Clinton. I don't think he said move to the right. I think he said we're being held hostage by the left, by the likes of Robert Reich. And of course he's correct. There are almost no moderate Democrats left. Moderate Democrats like a Lieberman or a Scoop Jackson of old or a Moynihan of old, these men, they were not economic socialists and cultural Marxists. They were sort of liberals, old-time liberals who believed in government, but they didn't believe that government should devour the entire culture. These guys do. And so radical is Robert Reich that he's taking on the Hillary Clinton advisor who says we're being held by the radical left. The radical left, that's AOC, that's Tlaib, quite frankly, that's Kamala Harris, it's Sanders, Bernie Sanders, people of that ilk. Go ahead.
Oh, please. That's both morally wrong and bad politics. And it's not that Harris ran a bad campaign. I think she ran a good one, given that she only had 3 months to do it in.
Oh, she only had 3 months to run. Excuse me. They had a coup. They undermined the Democrat voters in the primaries, 14 million of them. They pushed out Biden after telling us Biden was Einstein. Then they bring in Kamala Harris. They only wanted her to run for 3 months. They didn't actually have an open convention. They had what they called a virtual convention. It was all done to script. That's what they wanted. And then they complained, well, she only had 3 months. And she ran a hell of a good campaign. And it's not because we're too far to the left. Oh, this is good. Go ahead.
And while, yes, misogyny and racism absolutely played a role.
No, misogyny and racism played a role. How do they know that? You know, most men I know love their wives, love their mothers, love their sisters, love their relatives and so on. I don't know what this misogyny stuff is. I really don't. The fact that we detest radical left-wing people, some of whom are women, like Hillary Rotten Clinton or Kamala Harris, it's not misogyny. That's reality. That's a fact. And racism? Wasn't Barack Obama elected president twice? So what did racism have to do with it? More and more black people voted Republican. In fact, more and more minorities voted Republican. More women than usual voted Republican. Are the women misogynists? Are the black people racists? We get to hear this from a left-wing white elitist. Go ahead.
I don't believe they were the biggest factors either. Here's the real lesson.
You don't know a damn thing. So far, you've gotten everything wrong. Well, the campaign was too short. No, we got to know her rather quickly. Well, misogyny and racism. No, that actually had nothing to do with it. And by the way, who plays the misogyny and racism card? They do. That's why they pick candidates based on identity politics. That's why they're into DEI and CRT and ESG and all the rest of the alphabet soup. That's them. And what else? Oh, the party's not moved too far to the left. No, people like Leninism. Oh, yeah, the American people into wokeism and all the rest of it. No, we can't move to the right. Move to the right like this, a little bit? Still left of center? No, we can't do that. So he's got everything wrong. Now he's going to tell us what the real lesson is. Go ahead.
A top issue for most Americans was the economy. Well, the economy has improved over the last 4 years.
See, the economy's improved over the last 4 years. Guy's a liar. Inflation's higher. Joblessness is higher. Grocery prices are higher. Energy prices are higher. Prices for automobiles and homes and basics like that are higher. Regulations are destroying things such as dishwashers, washing machines, lawnmowers, driving up their costs too, HVAC systems. But the economy actually was doing better the last 4 years. And the American people say that's not correct because the American people are right. Go ahead.
According to standard economic measures, most Americans without college degrees, that's the majority, have not felt it. These Americans overwhelmingly voted for Trump. In fact, most Americans without college degrees have not felt much economic improvement for 4 decades, and their jobs have become less secure. Adjusted for inflation, the typical income of the bottom 90% is stuck nearly where it was in the early 1990s. Most of the gains have gone to the top, leaving many Americans...
Most of the gains have gone to the top. I don't even know what that means. Most of the economic gains have gone to the top. Now think this through. Let's back off from what he said. Most of the gains have gone to the top. Let's stipulate that what he's saying is true, even though it may not be true, because I don't trust guys like this. Most of the gains have gone to the top. Why would most of the gains go to the top? Why would most of the gains go to the top? Because we, the people, have decided to buy this, or this. If we decide not to buy Teslas, then Elon Musk is not as rich as he is. If we decide not to buy Microsoft products, then Bill Gates isn't as rich as he is. And I go down the line. If we decide certain companies aren't for us or certain products aren't for us and there's other products out there, that's the way it works. So what do you mean most gains went to the top? Did most of the people at the top invest most of the money in R&D and capital, invent new things, build more facilities and so forth? Did they do that? Well, of course they did. What does a billionaire do with his or her money? Do they sleep with it? Do they stick it in their mattress? Do they use it to light cigars? What do? They invest it. Invest it in what? Who cares? They take that money and they put it back into the private sector where it regenerates and regenerates and regenerates and regenerates. So when people want to buy a home, they go to a bank and they get a loan. People want to buy an automobile, they go to a bank or an automobile company and they get a loan. Where does this money come from? It comes from people who have money, who borrow or lend it rather to people who don't have the money. So most of the gains come from people at the top. That doesn't mean people who aren't at the very top don't benefit from it. It just means they're not millionaires and billionaires. So what? If you're desperate to be a millionaire, a billionaire, go for it. But everybody's not. They have different types of lives that they lead, or maybe it's just not their thing, or maybe they don't understand finance or whatever it is. Whatever it is, it is. When you look at most of these great billionaires in our history, they all started poor. Rockefeller was dirt poor. Morgan, he wasn't dirt poor. His father was very wealthy. That's true. But you look at Thomas Edison, started dirt poor. I can go down the list. I bet, like I said, most of them, they didn't start out wealthy. They wanted to create wealth, or they had great ideas. They had tremendous ideas. Henry Ford was not rich when he started. You look at the Heinz ketchup fortune. The old man who started it, he mortgaged his house twice. He was broke, and yet that's what he did. You look at Kellogg's. The younger brother of Kellogg, who was some kind of a psychiatrist of sorts, he had started this place where a lot of people went, particularly wealthy people went, who had different issues and so forth. But his younger brother was making the food. These monopolists, many of who were actually oligopolists, but monopolists, but for their capital, but for the investment, the money that they poured into it, there wouldn't be automobiles. There wouldn't be fuel to run automobiles. There wouldn't be electricity in every home. There wouldn't be steel bridges and steel skyscrapers and on and on and on. It's not that these guys deserve the Merit Award for being the nicest people on the face of the earth. They were cutthroat.
For all this and much more, sign up for Levin TV.